Hello and welcome to the Audio Dad Chronicles. I'm Shale and today we're diving deeper into the music of Sleep Token, this time featuring two songs. So I've been hearing a lot of talk about Sleep Token's cover of the Bruce Springsteen classic Dancing in the Dark, and I thought I had to check it out. So I went ahead and I pulled it on up, and then I realized this is a little short one and it's live. It's not a studio version. So I thought, why don't we do something a little bit different today? We are going to watch the song, but because it is a bit shorter and from what I hear, it's a little bit stripped down. There's not a full band behind this one. It's just Vessel by himself with the piano singing, from what I was told. So I figured we're going to do this one, but being that it's a bit of a shorter song, and it is something that we know, the original that is, of course, that we should maybe do a deconstruction of a Sleep Token song as well. So we're going to watch this one first because I haven't heard this version yet. We're going to do a usual reaction to it, and then we're going to follow this up by doing a deconstruction of a classic Sleep Token song, The Summoning. So there will be chapter markers down below, so if you want to jump ahead to The Summoning's deconstruction, you can go right ahead. But other than that, stick around and let's get into Dancing in the Dark first.
Get up in the evening, and I ain't got nothing to say. Home in the morning,
As the light goes off for the crowd. What is this? How old are
you? You just a little. Can't start a fire. Can't start a fire without a spark. This gun's fire. Even if we're just dancing in the dark.
If you didn't hear that synth line in the head, do you even know this song?
Makes you just keep getting clearer. It's on the moving round my place. Stand my look in the mirror. Wanna change my clothes, my hair, my face. I ain't getting nowhere. It's just a living in a dark like this. There's something happening somewhere. Baby, I just know that you can't start a fire. Can't start a fire without a spark. This gun's fire. Even if we're just dancing in the dark.
So it sounds like it is as promised. Very stripped down and raw. Just Vessel and a piano. Very, very cool. Like this so far. Very traditional, very classic cover. And I gotta say, having not seen Sleep Token live before, if this is a sampling of what their stage show looks like, it looks pretty cool. All kinds of rocks and pillars and stuff like that. Very, very reminiscent and sticking in with their overall aesthetic. I dig that. That's very cool.
Still not getting older. There's a joke somewhere and it's on me. Still one off my shoulders. Come on, baby, the love's on me. On the streets of this town, they'll be carving you up alright. Say you gotta stay hungry. Well, baby, I'm just about stopping the night. I'm tired for some action. Sick of sitting around here trying to write this book. I need a love reaction.
Excuse me. Can we take a quick moment to appreciate Vessel's outfit? That's a really cool look. I know he always had the mask going and the face paint and a variety of cloak-like outfits, but that whole epaulette armor looks like it might be made out of conch shells or something like that. That's pretty cool. I really like that.
Come on, baby, give me just one. You can't start a fire. Sitting around crying over a broken heart. This gun's fire. Even we're just dancing in the dark. Can't start a fire. Worry about your little world falling apart. This gun's fire. Even if we're just dancing in the dark.
So who's old enough to remember going to concerts and pulling out the lighters on songs like this and holding them up and illuminating the whole audience? These days it seems to be mostly done with cell phones because nobody has lighters anymore. Nobody, right. Anyway, let's let this wrap up, shall we?
We're just dancing in the dark. Even if we're just dancing in the dark.
Very, very cool. I had a feeling that, like I said at the beginning, it was a little bit short looking, and a friend of mine had seen this already and warned me that it was pretty stripped down and to the point. So we're not too much to say about that one. It is a cover. It is a very well-known classic song, and they did it very, very, very well. Really love his voice, and he did it a lot of respect. That's very cool. So, as promised, let's just dive into a Sleep Token deconstruction now, shall we? Because that one was a little bit short, and I'm just not quite done playing. So let's have a little bit more fun, shall we? We're going to switch on over to here, so just hang on tight. We'll be right back, shall we? Welcome back, and thanks for sticking around. So as promised, we are going to get right into a classic song from Sleep Token, The Summoning, and we're going to do a little bit of a deconstruction on it. So let's go over here. Alright, so here we are. I've gone ahead and I've separated everything into the individual stems, and so for those that aren't certain what that means, that is the individual tracks, the individual instruments of all that make up the song. Vocals, guitar, bass, drums, synth, anything like that that might be in there. We've got it all separated into their individual pieces, so we can play the song, let it go for a little bit, back it up, turn things on, turn things off, and just kind of have a look at the underbelly of the song, what's under the hood. So let's go right into this, shall we? This is Sleep Token's The Summoning, deconstruction style. So here we are. Let's just get right into this here. This is a classic track. Before we get too far into it, let's just take a quick moment here. We'll back it up a touch. So we're going to go over to here. And we're just going to quickly sample the individual instruments on their own, just kind of get a sense for them, what they sounded like stripped away, because we probably will be spending most of our time listening to the vocals on their own, because I'm sure that's why we're all here. But this song is sick. It's heavy, it's dirty, it's nasty, it's kind of genty. So let's just hear that there guitar on its own. Oh, pardon me. That one. We're going to listen to the guitar on its own. Let it play for a little bit, shall we? So as you can hear there, it starts off very thick, very heavy, meaty guitar, big, thick power chords, layered, heavily produced. And as soon as the vocals kick in, of course, the guitar backs off, so it's going into a little bit more palm muted, simpler playing, a little bit quieter, mixed down. So what does the bass do during this part? Let's just take a quick listen to that while we're at it. It's mixed much slower, much deeper, still playing the same part though. Won't go too far into that. It's very simple, very straightforward. Like I said, it's just basically the guitar part just doubled but an octave lower for bass. And of course we can't leave out Vessel's partner in crime, too, the drummer. So let's go, let's hear what he does. His drum kit sounds amazing. we're not going to go too far into that because we've got a lot of song ahead of us. So we'll just let that go for now. We'll come back around to the drummer. And I do gotta say, if you're into Sleep Token, if you're into drumming, if you're into heavy music, if you really like what they're doing, I have seen Drumeo have an interview or a session with two breaking down one of their songs, and it is fantastic. He is a really cool drummer. He's got a really cool insight. I highly recommend that video. But anyways, let's get back into this, shall we? We're going to skip ahead a little bit here because we have heard that piece a couple of times now. Let's just actually, you know what? We'll let it play a little bit just to kind of set the mood again. And then we'll pull it out and we'll let the vocals shine on their own.
I've got a river running right into you. I've got a blood trail red in the blue. Something you say or something you do, a taste of the divine.
So one thing I like about doing these deconstructions is it really brings back the human factor. When you have a whole polished produced song with multiple instruments and layers and multi-tracking and all that going on, you sometimes lose the little bits, the little things that show you that, there's people behind this. This is a person that did this. And on the vocals, that's often a good way to hear that. You hear the breathing. You hear him taking breaths. You hear him exhaling to let the rest of it out, to let those notes drag. Things like that. It's a really cool effect hearing what a singer is really doing when you isolate it a little bit more and you just see what it is that he was doing sitting there in front of a microphone, just like these. Let's let that go for a bit, shall we?
You got my body, flesh and bone. The sky above, the earth below. Raise me up again. Take me past the edge. I want to see the other side.
We're going to stop it right there. Let's back that up a touch. I'm really kind of curious to hear him on his own. So let's just do that really quickly. Maybe we'll bring in two along the way.
You've got my body, flesh and bone, yeah. The sky above, the earth below. Raise me up again. Take me past the edge. I want to see the other side.
We're going to stop that right there because I know that breakdown gets sick. I have heard this song in case I didn't point that out before. No, don't know it super well. I do enjoy their music, but it is definitely not a regular play. But I definitely have mad respect for them as musicians, as singers, as songwriters, especially as songwriters. I've said it before. I heard somebody once quip that they are R&B with breakdowns, and I thought that was the most eloquent, respectful, and kind of accurate description I've ever heard of Sleep Token. They go all over the place. They are the most genre-fluid band I know right now, I dare say, and I really appreciate that a lot. But anyways, what I noted coming up here, and I was kind of curious what that was, and in the mix, you don't really hear it too well. So we have a chance to pull it out, so let's pull it out. What I mean by that is, if you look on screen here, look for my mouse in the middle, you're going to see this little spot right there. What all these lines are, what we're seeing, if in case you don't know, those are the sound waves. And the taller they are, the louder the part is. So we can see that, over here there's no singing, and then in this middle break section where there's no guitars, but there's some drums and other effects, there's this little spot here where he says something. But what does he say? I actually don't know. So let's see if we can pick that out, shall we? Just vocalizations. I'm not 100% certain there was even words in there. Let's back it up one more time because I have an idea about what that might be. I didn't do any research on this. I wanted to go in a little blind on the subtleties of the song, even though, like I said, I have heard the song itself. I didn't research too much about it. I always like going in as blind as I can to be a little bit more surprised. But I do want to hear that one more time because I had a thought about it just now. Less convinced, but what I was getting at is I wondered if they backtracked it or backmasked it, where they flipped it, put it backwards. But the way the syllables and such came off of his tongue, if you will, I don't think that was the case. So maybe that wasn't it. But what is it is this breakdown. Let's just pull out the guitar and let it get dirty for a second, shall we? Dirty tone. I love that. Let's let that play a little bit, shall we? 1 second here. We got one more in there still. Let's get the drums out too while we're at it. I'd wondered about that. As you can see on screen and over on the side here where they're labeled, my program separates things into a bunch of, call it assumed instruments, based on the sounds, the range that they're in, and things like that. And it's not perfect, and sometimes it gets it wrong, and it pulls a part out and puts it in a different line where it doesn't belong. And it always has leftovers, if you will, bits and pieces and sounds that it didn't know where they fit. And I think that is what's happening here. This little section right here down at the bottom in the other track, I think that's actually Vessel screaming or singing, and it belonged as part of this original vocal. So not to dwell on it too long, but why don't we just really quickly pull all that up, and we're going to listen to those two parts on their own, because that's probably how they were actually supposed to be. Yikes, that was crazy. Obviously a lot of vocal effects going on in there, and there was this big deep hit in the middle of it as well that kind of got blended in with it all, but that was pretty cool. Let's just back up a touch here, make sure we got everything going. We'll let that play for a little bit as a whole, shall we? Love these guitar squeals. That just sounds evil. I like that. Let's hear that guitar, shall we? It's about to get a lot louder. Let's back up a touch. Actually, no, we'll just let that go. We'll let that go. Let's just bring everybody back in. Oh, pardon me. We'll bring everybody back in and let her go. Into the R&B part. Not exactly.
Raise me up again. Take me past the edge. I want to see the other side.
Very, very cool. Let's hear that section all as one, shall we? We gotta hear that on its own. There's some good high notes in there, and we all know what a phenomenal singer Vessel is at this point, if he didn't before. So let's let it go, shall we?
Won't you show me what it's like?
Moments like this are really great to hear the multiple harmonies, the lower parts, higher, and then higher and higher again. I don't want to call it studio trickery, that's certainly not it, but making good use of the studio and a singer who's got such creativity and such range to offer, they can really do things like this. And then of course, after you've done that little, well, that wasn't really an R&B breakdown, but the solo is kind of sort of pushing that territory, but then you got to get back into those sick breakdowns. So I just noticed that little bit of a bump there on the bottom on the other track, and I thought, I bet you that's the drop that I heard in the background. So why don't we just really quickly just give that little moment a shine. We'll hear it on its own before we pick things up again. Boom. That was quite the deep note there. Probably an 808 or something similar to that. 808 being a famous drum machine that has been used on practically everything, hip-hop, R&B, you name it. The 808 is easily the most famous drum machine ever made, and it is everywhere. Some sick guitar going on there. So why don't we give that a second here? I want to hear some of those squeals. Very cool. Now, what is this other? What's going on down there at the bottom? Synthesizers. My favorite. Second only to bass, which they're all over there. Got a couple different parts going on, some pitch shifting. We're going to let most of that play, but because it is the first use of it in the song, why don't we just give that piano a moment here, shall we? There's a lot more going on when you hear it by itself. And there's that R&B thing that we talk about. Not exactly R&B, it's definitely an oversimplification, but like I say, somebody once said that and it stuck in my head and I just can't unhear it. It fit. It just fit. Speaking of things that fit, the drums. Let's hear those drums in the pocket. We gotta hear those vocals though. We gotta let Vessel have a moment again. It's been too long.
Oh, my love. Did I mistake you for a sign from God? Or are you really here to cut me off? Or maybe just to turn me on? 'Cause these days I would be lying if I told you that I didn't wish that I could be your man. Or maybe make a good girl bad. I've got a river running right into you. I've got a blood trail red in the blue. Something you say or something you do. The taste of the divine. You got my body flesh and bone. The sky above, the earth below. Nothing to say, I know where to go. A taste of the divine.
I'm just gonna back up a real quick second there. I just want to hear some of this fatness that is down on this track. Which one is that? They have that on the piano officially, so let's just hear that. It is just a nice piano there, eh? Maybe with a little guitar.
To say I know where to go. A taste of the divine.
And with that, there's nowhere to go but taste the divine, which in my case is coffee. I think the pot is brewed. I think we have successfully deconstructed Sleep Token, the summoning. Thanks for coming along for the ride on this double shot of Sleep Token. I really appreciate all the support, and I hope to see you all again.